how did it go down in terms of what you found out and when you knew?
They just called me into the office and told me that I wouldn't be starting tonight because of a trade potentially happening. So that was the reason.
Was this something you thought may have been potentially happening?
At the moment, when I was getting called into the office, I thought it was a possibility, yeah. But before that, no, I wasn't really thinking about the whole thing.
Is it something from the first time you got traded? Is when you kind of hear those things, those words? Is it kind of something that you know that maybe might be happening at this point?
I hear the words more so from the staff, or you're talking about more so from external
like when they call
sources?
you into the office and say, having dealt with being traded before, is it something right away you're like, yeah, this might be a possibility?
Yeah, at the time when you're going in there, I guess around this time of month, you realize that's a possibility. So yeah.
Being that you've been traded once before, were you a little bit more prepared on how to handle it this time?
I guess I wouldn't say I was ill-equipped last time I was traded, but I would say that I am a little bit more prepared this time going through, and it's just because I understand the process a little bit more now. So.
What was the biggest challenge last time?
I honestly didn't really have any challenges other than just being around a new atmosphere and around different people. But I mean, the guys welcomed me in as soon as I got traded the first time, and it only went up from there.
Clearly, if you get traded, though, there's another organization that wants you. So do you feel as though, at least I'm going to a place where I know I'm going to be valued?
Everybody does always try to mention that, and they always say you're going to a place where you're going to be wanted, so it's always a good thing, and they always try to stress that, and they always try to get the person to understand that it's not a negative thing, and yes, it's a business, and it's a positive thing to look at, and they try to get you to shy away from the negative stuff, which is actually really good. So going to somewhere that you're wanted is always a good thing.
Do you guys know, with the Rule 5 stuff at the end of the year, when maybe you have to be protected or you're going to be able to be drafted by someone else, is that something that you guys know, like going into the season? Is that something that plays into this stuff, or is that something you're not really worried about, that just worried about pitching?
I'm aware of it, but as far as all the logistics behind it, I'm not really familiar with how a lot of that stuff works. I love you. Same time. I'm not really familiar with how a lot of that stuff works, and I think that's because I more so choose to be like that, and I would just rather not get caught up in all the semantics of everything when it comes to the intricacies of what comes in with the game. So I just try to stay away from it.
How do you feel like you've been pitching the last? It seems like every time you've been going out there in the last month or whatever, when you've been on the mound, you've been pitching pretty well. Do you feel like you've kind of been improving all season?
Yeah, just more so battling, if anything. I feel like the use of my fastball compared to last year has gone up some, which is cool to see. But I feel like the thing that I've probably improved on the most this year is probably just being out there, just grinding away, even though the outing doesn't necessarily look great at some point in time, but flipping it around and making it go in a more positive direction than what it seemed to be from the start. So yeah, just kind of that grinding aspect is something that I've gotten better at this year.
Do you feel like now you have something to prove because you're going to a division rival?
I wasn't really thinking that far in advance, to be honest, no.
What do you like? What's the process now? I guess it's been reported and stuff, but you have to wait till everything's done. What's the process now for like the next, couple hours or until the thing is done? What's the next step for you?
The next step for me is to just wait and hear about what's actually going to happen for me personally, and continue to keep doing what I do and play hard.